start recording now. And we're live. So thank you for tuning in for the second episode of my Sledgendary podcast or vodcast. I'm not too sure what it's going to be called yet. Still figuring that out. Eventually it would be nice to do video conferencing, but right now we're just sticking close to the podcast style. But with me today is a very special friend of mine, Tony Carbonette, who used to be our therapist with the Canadian team for several years. I know there's a million things that he's doing right now. He owns his own company out of Ottawa, as well as coaches quite a bit. And I'd say you stayed pretty active in the hockey world once you were done with the Sledge team. But I don't know, is there anything else that you're up to these days, Tony, you want to add?
Yeah, no, thanks, Brad. After 2014, when my time was done with the Sledge team, I definitely had other interests I wanted to pursue, and so I got I kind of got back to coaching in the early years with Sledge. I was coaching at the same time, and as things got busy with us with the Paralympics and a lot of the World Championships, it just wasn't. I just couldn't do it with the time. So after Sledge and my commitment to them for 11 years, I decided to get back to it and have been involved in AAA hockey and AA hockey at sort of the elite level at 13 and 14-year-olds, and enjoying that very much. I had the privilege and a great experience of being to two provincial championships, representing the team I was coaching. So it was been fun. Decided to 2000, I guess early 18. It's almost 2 years. We're coming up on 2 years now. Started my own therapy clinic called Capital Athletic Therapy and Rehab Center. We've got athletic therapy, we've got physiotherapy, we've got massage therapy, nutrition, sports mental consulting, personal training. So I have all the one-stop shop services. So it's been fun building that in a community like Ottawa. Maybe there's not a large amount of multidisciplinary clinics that offer all the services. So we're enjoying that and otherwise staying out of trouble and living life like I'm sure a lot of people are.
And excuse me, took a cough there. We were talking briefly off the air. Just how's everything going with your business? You were talking to a few issues you're facing right now, and how you've been kind of helping out in the community, and seen some videos you posted online about helping people in your community and that. How's Ottawa taking it so far with this whole Corona thing?
Well, I mean, right now I think as a city, we're fairly lucky. There's only about 13 or 14 cases, and we're certainly not the frontline experts at who's getting tested, who's not. But from the medical community, in terms of massage therapy and athletic therapy and physio and stuff like that, we are considered non-essential services, and because we're in direct contact with a lot of clients, hands-on, it's manual therapy. There's been some mandating that a lot of clinics close, and a lot of the individual professional, governing bodies, if you will, are telling their people to shut her down. So we've been affected by that, like a lot of other places. So we've been closed now for a week at this time. Now when are we, March 21st? So we've been closed down, and we're just going to get through the times like I'm sure everybody else is. So it's been a little frustrating and a little bit stressful, but I think the thing to remember is that there's a greater good at hand, and a couple of bucks in your pocket is not worth the well-being of your family and your friends and your loved ones, and for that matter, a city, a country, and humanity. So it's I think we're doing a good job of doing our part at following through, and nonetheless, it doesn't make it any less stressful, but it is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's been but the same here. I know we were talking about how it kind of looks like The Walking Dead when you go outside. I went out for a drive today. Been stuck at home for the past couple of days, and yeah, I don't know, it felt good to just go out and be under the sun for a little bit and go for a drive and clear my head. But I can imagine being in a big city like that too, just it's got to look even crazier when you look out the window when you're used to seeing so many people walking around. But we'll get through it. Like many generations before us, hopefully it might take a while, or it might not, who knows, but then.
Well, I think that's something you hit on there, which is poignant, right? Like, I don't think in our generation, we've seen this sort of mass, shutdown or sort of global effect, I think for me, I know there was the talk of the Ebola breakout and the SARS and the N1N1 or N1H1, sorry, all that sort of stuff. But to me, I certainly wasn't around, but I love reading the history, and I think the last time something like this, you go back to the wars, and when every country was affected and every country had sort of foot in the game, and it's you're right. I live in a pretty active part of the city in Ottawa, and it's tough to walk out or go for a drive or go to the grocery store and see barbershops closed and see flower shops closed and see whatever small little businesses closed and restaurants and pubs, and it's it feels like I try to, for me, I know one of my coping mechanisms, I'm just trying to tell myself every day you wake up, it's January 1st, right? January 1st is the day where people are outside, there's everybody's enjoying a day off, there's cars in the streets, people are outside, but there's nothing really open, and nor should it be. So it's kind of a nothing to do day, and every day kind of you wake up and it feels like January 1st, right? There's activity outside, the sun's out, and birds are singing, but there's nothing to do. So we just, like you said, we'll get through this, right? We'll all get through this.
Yeah. As a segue into our next topic, I think it'd be cool just kind of building on what you're saying about how people would usually be outside being active, and that I think one of the biggest things that crossed my mind when I thought about getting you on here was just trying to find out from your side and maybe get your opinion on what people should be trying to do, what little that they can, in ways that they can. I mean, especially people like myself who have a physical disability, who might not have access to a gym or any kind of equipment outside, or might not have any kind of like transport or anything like that. What can you kind of let people know about what they should be doing while they're inside to keep gains that they've been, there's people that are always trying to keep their gains and not lose everything that they work so hard to have. But it's pretty hard in a time like this. So what kind of things would you recommend to, let's say, a young sledge hockey player that wants to keep building on some kind of strength training or cardio, but can't leave the house? Is there anything that you can kind of help those people out with?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. I think the first thing to do is just, take some moment, take a time, and just take a survey of what's at hand, and be open to what's at hand. So, for example, if you live in a condo, do they have a condo gym? Is the condo gym open? If you live in a condo and you're mobile, let's say you're not in a wheelchair, let's say you're an amputee or something, they have 4 flights of stairs, 5 flights of stairs, 6 flights of stairs, whatever it may be. Do they have, stuff like that? If you're in a wheelchair, do they have long hallways? If they've got long hallways, there's a lot of room to just do some training or sprint training or whatever it may be. So just, I think, take a survey of what you have in hand and be prepared to think outside the box. If you're really confined to the confines of your apartment or your house, then look around, right? Do you have a laundry basket full of laundry? That's going to have some weight to it. Do you have some cans of soup in the pantry? Do you have some heavier pots, or do you have some dumbbells lying around, or bookshelf full of books, old textbooks lying around? So just take a survey, and there's probably a lot of things you can really utilize. And if you are confined to a chair, if you're a sledge hockey player that's confined to a chair, and your important thing is to keep your upper body strong, like simple exercises like push-ups, or if you've got a bar that hangs in a door frame, you're doing your pull-ups. Simple things like little army rolls on the ground, right? Being able to maneuver yourself around your place and keeping your neurological system up intact and things like that. So you can certainly go after a few things if you're somebody that's a little bit more mobile, or a wheelchair is not part of your life. Getting out in the hallway, doing some walks or runs up and down the hall, doing some sprints, doing some squats, doing some walking lunges. If you have stairs in your condo building, or if you have stairs in your house, and if it's a decent sized stair, right, or flight, I should say, go up and down it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. If you have a condo, like I live in a condo myself, and we're 6 floors, so I myself have been taking a few days here and there just to go out, and I throw the shoes on, throw the music on and the headphones, and I go either walking up and down the flights of stairs, or I go sprinting up and down the flights of stairs. And 15, 20 minutes, you get a little burn, you breathe heavy, and you got something in. So it's just taking a survey of what you have, and if it's something that you're trying to maintain, I think the biggest part is to realize we're all in the same boat. So I think if you miss a day, or if you miss a half a day, or if you're struggling to get a great body workout in, your colleagues, your teammates, and your opponents are probably all in the same boat as well. So don't panic too much. about missing on some things that you'd love to have. But just look around and take a peek at what you got, because anything with weight, an ottoman, a chair, is potential for use, right? Books, your laundry basket full of dirty clothes, do 25 curls with it before you throw the laundry in, whatever. So I think there's a bunch of stuff that for sure you can utilize around your home.
So I guess people just really need to start being creative. Really, like I was just thinking about what you said about the stairs. Like I don't really think much about stairs because I don't use them. But I mean, if I was able-bodied or I was an amp, it's like, it would be a good kind of routine to get into if you got up early enough. Because obviously you don't want to interfere with anybody else's day, and you don't want to be spending a lot of time in the hallways if you live in a condo like me or an apartment. You don't want to be making so much noise all day doing a workout like in the stairway. But if you get up, I guess at like 9 in the morning, 8 in the morning, and do like get up every morning at some point and do just walk the stairs for an hour a day, I guess would be enough for people right now, right?
Yep. Walk the stairs. Yeah, walk the stairs. You can run up the stairs. Heck, if it's something that you feel that you've got the good ability to, and let's say you've been working out pretty hard beforehand, just find your stairwell in your condo and do some running squat jumps and take 2 stairs at a time, and two, go all the way up and do like just standing, jumping or leaping squats, and you can go all the way up to the 6th floor, the 5th floor, the 3rd floor, whatever it may be. So tons of ways that you can kind of really get into that, and to your point, it's being creative and just kind of thinking outside the box a little bit, and right now movement is key. So if you have the ability to move in any fashion, whether you're in a chair or whether you're an amputee or whether you don't really have any restrictions, it's move and just do something. Right, and that not only help you physically, but help you mentally too, with the stress levels.
Yeah, like I remember Billy McGuigan was one of our assistant coaches, and you know Bill, right? You were
absolutely. Billy's a great guy.
Yeah,
great guy.
I can't remember. I have this issue where I just always assume that people were always there. Like I'll ask Tyler McGregor all the time, be like, "Man, that was great back in Vancouver or just before, or in Torino or something." I'll say something, and he'll be like, I wasn't even on the team until later. I'm like, I just always assume you're on the team. Like same with you, and I can never, I don't know what dates everything kind of came to an end or whatever, but it just reminds me of a story Billy told me, because I said, I want to work on my shot. I need to get stronger, but I don't know, like any tips and tricks. And he's like, one tip, he's like, go and buy one of those rubber balls, and he's like, you'd be surprised how much time you can find when you're sitting at a red light. If you have a rubber ball in your hand and you're squeezing that ball as tight as you can and trying to get as many reps out as you can at a stop sign or a red light. And then you start doing that day to day. And it's like, by the time your drive's over and you got, I'm on the road for an hour, and it's like, I've stopped at every red light and I did like so many reps on this strength ball, that I noticed over the course of a couple months that he was right. Like little things like that do help,
Yep.
So it's like finding that kind of mindset, finding the time. Now that we have the time, it's like now you got to be creative. So, but
that's right.
But yeah, no, for sure. But is there anything else that you've been up to, Tony? Have you been? How's the hockey season been going? You said you just finished coaching this season.
Yeah, I was coaching a double-A team here in Ottawa, one of the suburbs called Nepean. We had a great year. We finished up just in middle of February, I guess, before all of this stuff started. So I think, we were lucky to get our season and enjoy a full season and playoffs and not, unfortunately, I think for some of the leagues, they don't get to play the championship series. They don't get to play a chance to kind of finish off the season and get that either that joy of winning. So it's unfortunate. I feel for those kids and I feel for those families, because it's a long season and you'd like to see the seasons come to an end. But no, we had a good year. We were a second place team, and we had I think we were tied in the league, or we were off by 1 goal for most goals scored in the league. So we had a very offensive year, and we had a great bunch of kids. We had a great bunch of parents, and we had a lot of fun. The 4 tournaments we were in, we made it to the finals in all 4 of them, and then we won 2 of them. One of the tournaments, we beat the number 1 seeded team in the province at the time, so that was a real big fun moment for us as a team and as an organization and the kids. So it was a fun year. We had a lot of fun. Great coaching staff, great parents, great kids. So all around, one of my most favorite years for sure. coaching. So, like I said, that ended in February, and since then it's been, we got to watch the players get drafted into their under 18, I guess, midget year, if you will, for next year. So we had 7 kids in our team get drafted, which is really great. I think it was the highest in the league. We had the most kids. And then, and so unfortunately everything came to an end. So our end of year team party had to come to a halt for sure. And we're just kind of waiting for things to die down. And hopefully we'll get a chance to hang out with each other and see each other again at a gathering where we can have a barbecue. And maybe it's all for the best. It's, we'll do it in a barbecue, or we'll do it in somebody's backyard when it's safe to do it again, and look forward to seeing those kids do well in hockey. And then just looking forward to next year. I think right now it's, as much as you want to say you're looking forward to next year, I think a lot of hockey associations and sporting organizations aren't even thinking about next season right now. I think they're worried about finishing off or canceling if they haven't already done so. But in terms of hiring coaches and getting things in place for next year, I think everybody's in the same boat. Everything's been put on pause. So I think a lot of people are just waiting to see what the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks is like, and hopefully we'll all get back to some semblance of normal shortly versus later.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because I got to go through this a little bit with my injury back when I cut my thumb a long time ago when I first started playing. And I think as much as it's a bad situation right now and a lot of people are scared, including myself, I have my opinions on what's going on and what might happen and whatnot, but probably because I've watched a lot of conspiracy videos and stuff like that. But I think the coolest thing, not cool, but I think now is the time for people to really start to learn what it means to be grateful for what we used to be able to do, and hopefully what we'll continue to be able to do as Canadians. And you don't really appreciate the game until you're not allowed to play it anymore. Whether it's an injury or whether something happens, you financially can't do it, or and I think hopefully one of the big things on top of what you shared about fitness and stuff and ways that people can stay on top is that people don't lose hope and stay visualizing what you want to do, who you want to be as a player, what you want to get better at, and find other ways to stay in the game. Whether it's, I don't know about you, but playing NHL video games would always help me keep that mindset, keep sharp, thinking hockey. And, mini sticks and all that kind of stuff too. So, I mean, as much as you need to work on your fitness, you also need to work on your mind as well. And also work on those little skills too. It's also exercise to pick up a hockey stick and do some drills and stick handling too. Like you're working out that way too. But I really do hope that everything calms down. And, I've read some stuff about, there's some trials going on for vaccines right now. But I mean, I think one of the biggest things I think that a lot of young Canadians need to remember is what it's like to not be able to do something, and just how lucky they are to be able to have the freedom to play a game like hockey and those other sports and those things that we're starting to learn that we take for granted day by day that have been taken away from us lately. And hopefully a lot of people will be a little bit more grateful for the sun coming up every day in the future. So
it's a great point, and I've always tried to lead a life of balance. I know that's what's important for me. So at times, as much as I run a business and as much as I coach hockey, I try and spend time with my dog and my family and friends and things like that as well, and make sure I have time to read in there and I have time to go to the gym. So I'm hoping that people realize that life is in the end is very short, and none of these worldly things that we seem to possess go with you in the end, right? It's all about creating a memory, and hopefully people have, when it's our time to leave the planet, the people who are left behind are looking back at you fondly, and not because of the watch you bought or the nice pair of shoes you had. So maybe in a blessing in disguise, time will tell, but this is a chance for people to slow down and get outside and hike more and spend time with their families. And you're hearing the stories on Facebook and all the social medias of people playing game nights with their kids and saying how fun it is. I mean, I don't have kids, but I can certainly appreciate the family time and growing up that way. That we played a lot of board games and we spent some time in as a family. And so if this is what it takes, and maybe this is something in the long run, it's a good thing for us, that we're all going to slow down just a little bit and enjoy your family, enjoy your friends, and spend more time in the pub and have a beer and watch sports and take hikes and just realize that, before you can blink sometimes it might be over. So take in as much of the little things as you can.
Yeah, it's funny because I was going through a trend there where I was starting to really want to not be around a lot of people and be bothered. And now I find where see somebody now and I'm just like, wow, it's too bad that you have to distance yourself from people. And it's funny because like hopefully, it brings us closer. But no, I totally agree with you. And it could be a blessing in disguise. And I hope that, people try to stay calm and realize that we're all, I'm sitting here in my apartment kind of going through the same questions as everybody else and trying to figure out, financials and work situations and what's going to come around the corner and what the government's going to do next and if we're going to be okay. And but no, it's I'm glad that you took the time to sit down and do this and go over a few things and just kind of share some of your insight as to what people can be doing. But I really appreciate it, and I'm sure I'll probably have you on more because I know that I'm getting a lot of questions about workouts and stuff. How hard would it be to do like a live Q&A with you in a gym with some stuff showing like workouts and stuff like that for people? Would that ever be a thing that you'd be willing to do?
Oh, I'm sure we could do that. No problem. I'm sure we can find a way to make that work.
Yeah, well, we'll do something like that, see what people think, and but hopefully, yeah. Just remember, anybody listening, like we said earlier in the interview, just you got to think outside the box. And right now you've got a lot of time, which is usually hard to find, and now it's time to be creative and find ways to stay on top of things. And but we also don't, you said like go run in the halls and stuff like that, but you also got to be mindful of other people as well. You don't want 8 people running, doing workouts in the halls, and then you got an old grandmother in their apartment room going, "What the hell's going on with these people?"
Yeah. Don't go knocking on doors at the same time. Just go out there and
just do your run.
Just do your run and leave everybody alone. Yeah.
Yeah. No. But all right. Well, thanks a lot, and I'm sure we'll catch up again and do another one of these and see what we can do. But I appreciate it.
Anytime.
All right.
Anytime, Brad.
Thanks a lot.
Anytime.
Brother.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.